This is the official super guide for Call of Duty MW3 Season 1. This will go over how to find all of the new schematics, all of which are found in a guaranteed way, as well as how to beat the Act 4 Dark Aether worm and how to get into the Dark Aether itself. Two different ways, as well as the new endgame worm boss experience, how to activate it, how to beat it, tips on everything. But before we get into the video, I encourage you guys to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. This took a ton of time to get gameplay for because there's so much that was added in Season 1, as well as my game kept crashing for the majority of yesterday, so I couldn't even get to the worm boss fight. I've only done it once, but I do have a very easy way to beat it. So with that all out of the way, let's start with the new Act 4 challenge. Now there is only one set of challenges for Act 4. It's called Bad Signal. It's to investigate the anomaly and leave the Dark Aether. So you can find this in the middle of the map. You'll see a new POI. There is a little island that has a big tornado. The tornado will do absolutely nothing except have a couple of pedestals on it. Each one corresponds with an alternate ammo type. And across the way in the Tier 2 area, there's a new triangular ether portal that you'll be able to go to and activate with your teammates that will send you into the Dark Aether to start this Dark Aether set of challenges for Act 4. That will get you the investigate the anomaly check mark, with leaving you with only the leave the Dark Aether check mark to go. So before you go into the Dark Aether, I would suggest being completely set up. I'm talking perks, I'm talking, wonder weapons, I'm talking a nice pack-a-punched weapon, at least at like blue rarity and double pack-a-punch, because the zombies that you're going to face in here are all going to be Tier 2. You're going to be facing a new worm boss, so you're going to want to do as much damage as possible against it. But once you are into the Dark Aether, there'll be 4 different sigils that you'll have to run around and complete. These are super easy. All you have to do is go up to them, activate them like any other contract, and then get zombie kills inside of the ring and fill it up like it's a soul chest. Now this will scale, so on solo, it'll be a little bit faster for you to complete because you'll want to get to the worm boss as quickly as possible. But if you're in co-op, then it will take a little bit longer to complete, but it'll definitely be a lot safer and easier for you to get these done. Now, once all 4 are done, it'll tell you to leave the Dark Aether, and you'll make your way over to the beach on the back of the map. And once you're there, you'll be greeted with a new worm boss. Now, this guy is super hard. He is way harder than the last worm boss that we fought at the end of Act 3. I would suggest having like 2 or 3 people to take the worm down. It'll make it so much easier. This is possible solo, but you're going to have a way, way, way harder time completing this solo as opposed to if you were with 2 or 3 different people. But basically, once this guy spawns, you have about probably 20 minutes to take him out before the Dark Aether storm completely closes and you'll be trapped inside of the Dark Aether and lose everything. Now in solo, a lot harder like I said. But in co-op, you should be able to take the worm down in about like, I'd say like 5 to 8 minutes if you're really moving and you're really grooving and getting all that stuff done. So basically, the best strategy to take this worm out is to have 2 people if you're in co-op, or if you're in solo, play around the bathrooms that are above the beach. He can only poke up through that little like walkway, that road area a couple of times throughout the thing, whereas the majority of time, the worm's going to poke up from the sand in the beach. Now, after a little bit of time when you're shooting the worm, he'll go underground, and he'll heal if all players are down, but as long as none of all the players are down in the game, he won't be able to heal. He'll just do like kind of like a big circle around the beach while he's underground. You'll be able to find where he's at based on some sand and some dust that he's kicking up. Now, the way to get him to spawn back into the world is to have somebody go down to the beach, step on the beach, let him come towards you, and then run away as quickly as possible, because he will pop up through the beach, knock you into the air, and he'll eat you. This worm will actually eat you, unlike the other one that'll basically just knock you into the sky. This guy will absolutely eat you, and you'll have not a fun time trying to kill him, because once you get eaten, it's very, very hard to survive after that. He'll spit you out, and he spits you out super, super fast, so as soon as you get spit out, I would spam your parachute button to try to get back into the fight without going down, because he'll just throw you into the ground and you'll get downed. So again, maybe have some self-rests as well before going into this, because it is very common to be eaten by the worm. But just stay the course, work him down, and once you kill him, you'll get a bunch of free loot, usually a wonder weapon case, as well as a couple of other goodies that you'll be able to exfil with. It gives you points too, which I don't really understand, because literally when you go through the portal back to the main world, it's over, the game's over, and those points are no longer usable. But the one thing that you will get is a reward portal containing a diary. Now you want to make sure you absolutely grab this diary and exfil with it. It will be necessary for the next step of entering the Dark Aether, and if you don't grab this, then you're kind of screwed. You have to face the worm boss all over again. So once you're back to the main menu, you'll also notice that the diary is now stowable. I would 100% absolutely put this in your inventory and not bring it into another game, because if you crash with the diary in your inventory, or you just down and die off with the diary completely, it's over. Like, you're going to have to face that worm boss again, and nobody wants to do that. But once you got the diary stowed away, head into another game, and if you already have both the brain rot as well as the dead wire alternate ammo types available to be activated through your schematics. I would bring both of those in because you'll need them to find 3 other objects around the map. Now the 3 other objects are a security camera, a pill bottle, and a dog collar, each of which is relatively easy to find, easy to get, except for one of them, and we'll get into that one last because it is the hardest one. But the first thing you'll have to find is that camera. Of course, these can be done in any order, but we're just going to go from easiest to hardest. So the first thing is the camera. Basically, you just get a dead wire weapon and find a harvester orb that's flying around any tier of the map. It could be in tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3. You just shoot the harvester orb with your dead wire weapon. The orb will turn orange, and then after a couple of shots and you finish off the orb, it will drop a purple camera, but you need to upgrade it to a legendary camera, and to do so, you have to find a rift portal somewhere around the map. Once you've stashed the purple camera and you go through the orb, look in the sky and you'll see another strange yellowish portal around the area that you'll have to fly into, and once you fly into it, you'll be teleported yet again, and a new contract will be marked on your TAC map. This is a purple bounty. All you have to do is pick it up, kill the guy off, and as soon as you kill off the next HVT that spawns into the map, I think for this one, it was a disciple. After that disciple is completely killed off, you can go into the reward portal that spawns, and you'll have a legendary camera. Now, if you don't want to risk a crash or going down, you can exfil and you can stash this along with the diary, or you can continue to get stuff in your game. So the next thing up is the pill bottle, and to find the pill bottle, you'll need a brain rot weapon and take it to either a infested stronghold or an ether nest. And what you want to do is shoot one, and I'm telling you, shoot literally one time, especially if your gun's already upgraded. Shoot one time at any of the spores, and if you shoot it with a brain rot weapon, the pill bottle will stick out, and you can grab the pill bottle from the spore and you'll have it in your inventory. And to upgrade it, very similar to how we upgraded the camera, all you have to do is run over to a rift portal that's around the map, go inside of it, spawn into the sky, find a green portal this time, go through that portal and start another special HVT contract. And after you kill that HVT, you'll be able to go into the reward portal and pick up the legendary pill bottle. So now you have 3 of the 4 things that you'll need for opening up the Dark Aether, the last of which is the dog collar. And to find the dog collar, what you have to do is take a Molotov and take it to a dog house and place it in the dog house, and it will spawn a dog. Now, originally it was suspected that you needed meat with this. You don't actually need meat. All you have to do is put a Molotov inside of the dog house. An enemy dog will spawn, and after you kill it off, you'll be able to pick up the dog collar from the dog. And of course, this is purple like the last few. You'll have to go through a rift portal, fly into the sky, find the last red portal that's in the sky, and do your last HVT contract. Now with this one, it will always spawn a mangler in tier 3, so I suggest getting set up before this one because the manglers in tier 3 are hard enough to kill. This one is like an HVT, and it's even worse than the majority of HVTs. It's definitely probably harder than your average mangler tier 3 HVT contract. So once you kill off all of the manglers as well as the HVT, another reward portal will spawn, and you'll have the 4 legendary items that you'll need to open up the portal to the Dark Aether, not going through the worm boss. So you've gotten all 4 items. Now you have to make your way over to the island where the tornado was by the original anomaly that you went through to fight the first worm boss. And on that island there will be 4 pedestals corresponding with one of the different alternate ammo types. And you'll have to place each of the 4 items in their corresponding alternate ammo type pedestal. So put the diary on the cryo freeze pedestal. On the dead wire pedestal, put the camera. On the brain rot, put the pills. And on the napalm burst, make sure you put that dog collar. And once all 4 of those things are placed down on their corresponding correct pedestals, another portal will spawn right behind you. The mist of the tornado will slightly go away, not as bad as it was before, but it will definitely still be there. And a mega bomb as well as a bunch of tier 3 zombies, tier 3 bosses will spawn outside of the portal that spawns, and you'll have to take all of them out in order to clear the area and allow yourself to enter the Dark Aether. So, I mean, this is going to be quite the challenge. It was hard for the 6 people that were in the game. It was definitely a difficult issue to deal with. But once you get all of them done, you'll be able to enter the Dark Aether for a one-time use. And now, this portal is how you'll get back into the Dark Aether in different games. There's 2 different Dark Aethers that you can enter through these, but the one that you're going to be entering after this little boss fight excursion thing is the regular Dark Aether, which will have 30 minutes to find 3 contracts and complete them. Now, like I said before, the original worm boss fight, I would suggest getting stocked up before you enter this place because it is going to be very hard. These zombies are basically just as hard, if not harder, than tier 3 zombies. They are Dark Aether zombies as well as Dark Aether bosses. It may take you a lot of time to set up, but it'll be definitely worth it. So once you're set up and you enter the new Dark Aether portal after everyone activates their yes vote, you'll have 3 contracts to find around the Dark Aether, and these are super easy to find if you have Depth Perception. You're looking for 3 different Mr. Peaks dolls that are scattered throughout the map. However, the location for each of these contracts will always stay the same. The first one is off to a building on the left side of the map when you spawn in. Super easy to the top of it. All you have to do is grab Mr. Peaks and it will activate the first contract. Now this first one over on the left building will activate one of the rocket contracts. This one is probably the easiest of the 3 that you'll have to do. All you have to do is literally activate it. Deactivate the 3 rockets that spawn at the top of the fortress, and as soon as you're done with that, you will get your reward portal. Now this doesn't spawn any schematics, but it will give you some of the new loot from Season 3, whether it's an Aether Blade case, a Dog Bone case, or the golden armor plates. Now each of these will be a one-time use unless you find the schematics, and I'll be telling you how to get a absolutely guaranteed way to find these schematics in just a little bit, but you'll have to finish up here in the Dark Aether in order to get to that area. Now, you might also find a couple of sigils as well as elder sigils. Pick these up. They'll be needed to enter the Dark Aether at other times of your games if you wish to return. At least at a minimum, get those elder sigils from this area. They're these like yellowish looking like token things. You absolutely need those to get the next level of schematics. Now the second contract can be found on top of the fortress. This is another Mr. Peaks, of course, and this one is an ACV, and I'm telling you guys, this one is probably the hardest contract you'll do in the Dark Aether because there are so many bosses and enemies that'll spawn. Every once in a while you might run into a Mega Bomb, and this is really hard if you're in solo. You absolutely need at least like 2 or 3 people that are absolutely decked out to escort this ACV if you want to do it correctly and complete your challenges. Now, if you make it through the entire contract, you'll be rewarded with another rift portal. You'll probably find a couple of sigils, as well as some new loot, and maybe even one of those good elder sigils. You absolutely, like I said, guys, want to make sure you're at least exfilling this area with one of those elder sigils so that you don't have to come back into this specific Dark Aether. Now, the last contract can be found back by the beach where you fought the original worm. It's on the bus. This one is basically just an Outlast contract. This one's probably, I wouldn't say the easiest of the 3. I think the easiest one is that rocket one, the first one that you can do. But this last Outlast contract is super easy. As long as you activate it and run around, you'll be safe and good to go. You can complete this and get your last of your 3 reward portals. And like I said, you have a 30-minute timer in order to get this stuff done when you enter the Dark Aether, so make sure you're moving quickly. But if you complete all 3 of these contracts and don't fail any of them, you also unlock a Geo Blueprint for the MCW. It's pretty cool. I don't know if it's like very useful. I used it in pubs and I used it in Warzone. It's kind of and it's kind of in zombies as well, but it's pretty cool. It kind of looks like a Dark Aether weapon, so really, really nice free blueprint that you can get from completing all 3 of your contracts successfully in the Dark Aether. Now make your way to the bottom of the fortress or the top of the fortress, and you'll find an exfil portal, which will exfil the game completely. This will not take you back to the standard zone. This will not take you back to the standard map. This will make you exfil back to the menu, and I'm telling you guys, you want to leave this area and make sure at least you or a couple of your teammates have some of those elder sigils, because this will be your pass to find those schematics and get back into the Dark Aether. Now there are 2 types of sigils that you can find. The first one is just a regular sigil. It will open up the Dark Aether portal. This will take you back to exactly what you just did, that 30 minutes of 3 contracts where you can find some of the Dark Aether loot, but you will not be able to find any of the schematics in that area. All you'll be doing is basically getting loot from the Dark Aether that is classified. So if you want to find an extra Aether Blade case or an extra Dog Bone or an extra armor plate, this would be the area to go to, because it won't be as hard as the Elder Dark Aether, and it's the only place that you can find this kind of stuff unless you're going to, like I said, the Elder Dark Aether. But the other object you've exfilled with is an Elder Sigil. This will take you to a hardened version of the Dark Aether. So if the other one wasn't hard enough for you, this next one is going to be absolutely insane. But this is where you will find the guaranteed schematics, all of the classified schematics, which are the Golden Armor Plate schematic, the Aether Blade schematic, and the Dog Bone schematic. This is where you find all of those absolutely guaranteed if you can complete the contracts, and they go in order. So basically, load into your next game, somebody has an Elder Sigil, make sure you get absolutely loaded. I'm talking like triple papped weapon, legendary Aether tooled out. Get yourself a wonder weapon to triple pap. Get all of your perks. Get some self-reses. Get some Casimir grenades. Get some monkey bombs. Get some juggernauts. Get some literally whatever you need, airstrikes. Get everything that you can to go into this next area, because before you go into there, it is going to be quite the struggle. This is literally hardened version of what you just did. You only have 15 minutes when you enter the Dark Aether with an Elder Sigil to get all 3 of the contracts done, so you absolutely have to be moving at all times. You have to do this as quickly as you possibly can, and you got to be safe. It's literally just the 3 contracts yet again, but this time, like I said, 15 minutes, and there are a ton of bosses that will spawn. It's not even funny how many bosses there are going to be. It's literally triple the amount of like regular bosses that will spawn around the map, on top of like quadruple the amount of mega bombs. So the hardest contract in here again is the ACV contract. That's just because there are going to be mega bombs that are going to be chasing you around and also going after the ACV. So like I said, guys, make sure you're stocked up. Get a couple of jugs for the mega bombs. Make sure you've got your Cashmere grenades to get the zombies off of this. I was able to do this with 2 people successfully, but it literally took almost an entire inventory of loot just to protect the ACV from getting destroyed. But when you complete your first contract, and like I said, you can do these in any order, the first contract that you complete will always give you the dog bone schematic. At least that's how it was for us. You always get that dog bone for doing the very first contract inside of the Elder Dark Aether. Now the second contract, again, could be either of the Rockets or the Outlast contracts. When you complete that contract, you'll get the golden armor plate schematic. Again, pretty dope. You know, this one's probably the best of the 3, although I like the Aether blade. It only kills 3 zombies at a time. Maybe there's some way to upgrade it in the future, who knows. But yeah, the golden armor plate seems to be like the best thing that you can find inside of either the Dark Aether or the Elder Dark Aether. But the second contract you get will always give you that golden armor plate. And the last contract that you complete will give you the final schematic for the Dark Aether in the classified section. It will always be the Aether blade, and you know, honestly, the loot that you get here is kind of average. The dog is cool, but really not that big of a necessity. The Aether blade is cool. Won't really get you out of a sticky situation if you get cornered. There's not really too much use for it right now, but like I said, they could give it a buff in the future, or at least give you a way to upgrade it. Who knows? We will find out. But the big schematic is the golden armor plate, and this is super useful. All you have to do is equip it, and for the rest of the game, as long as I think even if you die, you still have it. But either way, it regens your armor plates like every 2-3 seconds. You'll get like half a tick of armor plate, which is super nice. It basically makes armor plates useless after this. It's nice to have a couple of them, but you won't have to store any extra armor plates in your satchels or in your rucksacks after equipping the golden armor plate. Now, these do only last one game. If you equip it and you exfil, it won't carry over, so it's not like a gas mask. You basically have a one-time use golden armor plate when you activate these. But once you have all 3 of these contracts done and you've completed them successfully to get all 3 of the new schematics, you're going to want to exfil so the schematics stay, and you'll be good to go. They'll be in your schematic inventory in the classified section for the rest of time. But of course, you'll notice that there are 3 schematics still missing: your legendary Aether tool, your PAP-3 crystal, and the Scorcher Wonder Weapon case schematic. And you might be wondering, like, I haven't seen these in Tier 3, I haven't seen these in the Dark Aether, where do I find these? And there's actually a new endgame for the regular area of the map that involves killing an Aether worm that will give you one of these 3 schematics absolutely guaranteed every time you kill the worm. But of course, it's quite the struggle. I'd say this worm is even harder to kill than the Act 4 worm inside of the Dark Aether. I have yet to see anybody complete this solo or even get close. Most people that try this have at minimum 2 people. But the fastest way to absolutely do this is make sure that you have 3 people kitted out, ready to go for this worm boss fight. Now, it doesn't spawn exactly right at the start of the storm. You'll have to make your way to the top right side of the map, and inside of this specific building on the map, there will be 4 pictures of different areas around the map, as well as some other information that you really don't need. All you really need is these 4 pictures. So after you take a look at all 4 of these pictures, basically they correspond with one of 4 different areas around the map. One will always be in Tier 3, the other 3 will kind of rotate. Sometimes there are 2 inside of Tier 1 and 1 inside of Tier 2. Sometimes there's some inside of there's 2 inside of Tier 2 and 1 inside of Tier 1. Really the only one that's a constant stable is the one inside of Tier 3. Basically, you go to these areas that are shown on these pictures around them. They correspond with their areas around the map, and you'll find these UAV signals that you have to activate. Now, they won't be on the minimap. You basically have to just run around to either find them or you hear them, but super easy once you find them, guys. Like I said, all you have to do is go to where the corresponding pictures are, interact with it. You'll type on a keyboard, and it will spit out a USB. Now, you absolutely need all 4 of these around the map. I'm not sure how this works if you run into other people that are going for the worm. If 2 people get it, I know there is a recharge time, so let's say your teammate dies or crashes or lags out like I did. The teammates that are left in the game can still go back to where they had the original USB person lag out with, grab another USB from that area. They're just on cooldowns, but I'm not sure how it works if there's like multiple people going for 1 worm inside of the game, because only 1 worm will spawn at the end of the game in each of the games. But basically, once you have all 4 of your USBs, it's just time to get set up, guys. Like, literally, you just get completely set up for this. I'm talking, again, like triple papped weapon, legendary ether tool, all of your perks. I would honestly bring in a bunch of turrets. I've seen that those sentry turrets are very, very good for completing this. It helped us out a lot. I'd also get at least 1 or 2 durables. There are a bunch of ammo caches by the boss fight area, which, if you didn't know, will also regenerate your gas mask. So if you have a durable and it's down to like the last little tick, all you have to do is run to an ammo cache and it will refuel it up for you, so you don't have to carry more than 1 durable. I don't know if either the airstrike, I know the Juggernaut is really bad against the worm, but the airstrike and the mortar strikes don't really do too much against the worm either. But if you want to bring them in for the zombies, then fine. I would also bring in some cashmere grenades and monkey bombs, because there are going to be a ton of zombies spawning around you, and it's better if you take care of those zombies with the monkey bomb or the cashmere grenades, rather than try to fight them, the worm, and the stuff that comes off of the worm. Once you have everything set up and you're ready to go, as well as having the 4 USBs, you have to look around the map at an area that's near the storm. Now, this is a very loose near the storm, because it's not like right next to where the storm spawns. It's usually within the first like 500 meters of any direction of the storm. But what you're looking for on your mini map is an area that has 2 ammo caches literally right next to each other. I'm talking like maybe like 30 feet away from each other. These are super easy to find. If you're looking near the storm on your minimap, look for those 2 ammo caches that are spawned in kind of a random area that you're not used to seeing ammo caches at all. And these are like suspiciously close together, like would never ever be this close together in any other area of the map. But you want to go to that area and basically go find those 2 ammo stashes. And once you're there, you'll also notice 4 of these ether refractors that are in the ground now, and you can't interact with them just yet. Especially if the storm isn't coming in. But get there before the storm closes in. I would maybe kill the storm caller before the storm starts coming in too, because then you only have to deal with, I think, level 2 zombies, and the level 3 zombies won't be as hard to beat without the storm caller. But yeah, make sure you get rid of that guy before this storm comes in. But as soon as the storm crosses these ether refractors, you'll be able to put the USBs into them. And once all 4 USBs are placed and the storm has completely consumed all 4 of those ether refractors, it'll be like probably about 30 to 45 seconds before the worm pops out of the ground, and it's just basically another boss fight where you're going at the worm just like you were in Act 4, but it is on the regular map. Now, there are only a couple locations that the worm could spawn, so if you're having trouble finding these ammo caches or these areas, if you're by the storm in the top left, it'll spawn by the Legacy Mercenary Stronghold. It'll be like out in front of it, pretty far away from it, so you don't get shot by the mercs, but it'll be farther in front of that. If it's down towards the bottom left of the map, it'll probably be inside of the soccer field. If it's on the bottom right side of the map, you're probably looking at the farms area, and then if it's the top right side of the map, I think it is actually by the farms area as well. I think there's one spot by the bottom of the map that can spawn too. So there's probably like 4 spots that these ether worms and these refractors can spawn at, but all you have to do is find the one that's inside of your game. And so for this, again, guys, place your sentry turns down. It's very similar to the Act 4 worm. Nothing too crazy here. If you've already done the Act 4 worm, it's not really too much that you've seen. The worm is just a different color. He's red this time, which is pretty dope, so he's pretty cool looking. The boss fight, like I said, is probably the hardest part here, is making sure that your gas mask stays intact by going to that ammo cache every minute that you can to refuel it, as well as navigating the zombies. But if you work the worm down, if you got 2 or 3 people, this will be relatively easy, along with some score streaks, along with some sentry turrets. Like this guy, we took him down in probably about 10 minutes or less, so it wasn't like too hard of a challenge if you're set up. But if you're not properly set up for this, like I'm talking completely stacked, this is going to be the hardest thing that you've done in all of MWZ. But once you kill him, guys, a reward portal will spawn. You'll be able to get one of the 3 schematics that you don't already have. It's not guaranteed, so it's not like the first time you do it you get the legendary ether tool. 2 of the 3 teammates in my game got the legendary ether tool. 1 person got the PAP3 crystal, but I know that's exactly how you get the last 3 of the remaining schematics. So you basically have to kill the worm 3 or 4 times to get the remaining 3 schematics. So this is quite the challenge. It's quite the struggle, but I guess it is nice knowing that there is a way that basically guarantees you these schematics, rather than running around tier 3 over and over and over again for 30 hours at a time looking for a ray gun schematic or a epic ether tool schematic. So that's pretty much it for Season 4, guys. That's all the content they added aside from weapons and maybe a small side Easter egg here or there. That's your complete guide to the Dark Aether, as well as how to find all of these schematics in a guaranteed way. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Call of Duty MWZ content. I'm hoping that my game gets back to being able to run this at all times so that I don't crash 20 minutes into the game or right before I go to the worm. It's kind of annoying to have these crashes happen, but you know, we're fighting through it. We were able to get one game last night, and I guess that's all that matters because we got the gameplay for it, and I got the knowledge of telling you guys the best way to defeat it. So, like I said, if you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Have a good rest of your day. Stay safe.